Here is where tradition never dies. This is your radio, K-Man.
Oh, I think they're doing a great job. A lot of them are.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. How are you?
Not too bad, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Radio K-Man's Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
But I do have some questions.
there are more questions than answers.
Radio K-Man's Talk Today. If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. It is another magnificent Monday and it's going to be our monthly mental health matters. So please stay tuned for Talk Today.
Talk Today is brought to you by Fidelity Bank. For all your banking needs, visit fidelitygroup.com. Fidelity, we're good for you.
Also brought to you by greenturtle.ky. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app. The future of mobile. Saving lives today. Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255. Courtesy of Flow.
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us as we invite you to be a part of our monthly discussion. Our monthly mental health matters show, I would almost say under the tutelage of Dr. Alexandria Boyden, but certainly an incredible lady. Thank you very much, Dr. Boyden, for your presence, your continued perseverance, and the professionalism that you bring. So thank you and good afternoon.
Thank you as well, and thanks for having us on again.
Oh, this has been, I think, an opportunity for us to appreciate the importance of speaking to our overall health and well-being. And when people look at their mental wellness, sometimes we unfortunately think of it in a light that isn't exactly what it should be. And now more and more we start to appreciate just getting us. If we don't look at our mental state of mind, as it were, how can we go? Well, with that, we have Miss Heather Lockhart joining us as well. And as a professional life coach, Miss Heather, we can see how sometimes we move along life and aimlessly for some. For others, they're so focused that they don't see anything else, because that single-minded approach about success, about provision, about ensuring that others are protected, may give people a perspective that, oh, this person is just so focused on that. But again, where is that balance? Now, do you believe that's my phone ringing? It could be Domino's. I don't know. But good afternoon to you.
Thank you. It's a wonderful honor to be here today.
Thank you. And as we're talking about gratitude, mindfulness, and positivity, Dr. Boyden, if I would be allowed to say, as I walk into the studio, one of our colleagues, DJ Lynn, is here. And that's a gentleman from the very first day I met him. He was just in diapers. No, he wasn't. But it's been a long time. And when he first started here, he exudes that level of being gracious, or that gratitude. And it's that positive approach to life that I think propels us to want to appreciate more and more where we are, who we are, and why we are. But we have other guests join us as we go to them first. Let's set the stage for today's show, Dr. Boyden.
Yeah, really excited for today's show. Definitely cover some of the hot topics that come up these days. And so, and a lot of the other shows, some of them do get quite heavy. And we do a lot of work to separate mental illness from mental health. And I think that this show is a big one for that. Mental illness is important to understand. Those are the disorders and the difficulties that we face in looking at the emotional and the psychological realm. And for many, many years, psychology in particular has focused on those areas. But over the years, we've come to embrace the other side of things. And as we really work to separate mental illness from mental health, it's important that we acknowledge what's important in maintaining I think you talked about the emotional well-being and the mental well-being. So physical health really, mental health really is about living your best life and being as productive as you can. It's not just the absence of mental illness. It's, having rewarding relationships, having a fruitful life. And so the World Health Organization as well has done a lot to really separate those definitions. And so in looking at that side of things, we have a great panel today that bring up with them a whole host of different backgrounds and different ways of using these tools to help to improve our lives. Right. So excited for that today.
Well, for those who are joining us, it is our monthly Mental Health Matters. We're looking at gratitude, mindfulness, and positivity. Of course, Dr. Alexandra Borden and Ms. Heather Lockhart are in our guests in studio, but online. And somehow, Mr. Fox has allowed me to see through walls and down fiber optic lines to welcome our other guests. We're going to have Ms. Anna Wooten, Dr. Ian Levine, and Terry Delina joining us now. I'm not sure which button to press to make sure who's on first, but let's go to each one in succession, Mr. Fox, and respectfully to our guests. Just a quick intro for those listening. Hey, good afternoon, welcome. Miss Anna, perhaps we will start with you first. How are you today?
Sure. I'm good. Thank you. Thanks for having me. I love this topic. I'm very excited and upbeat and grateful for the topic of gratitude. So I'm glad to be here with you guys, even if it's over the phone. And I'm a holistic health coach, so gratitude and positivity are definitely topics I cover with my clients a lot, and I'm excited to dive in.
All right, well, thank you very much. And you don't need a snorkel or fins, even though Dr. Lee has allowed them to be used now. You can dive right in. So that's my second attempt at a joke today. Let's see what happens. The third one. With that, Mr. Delaney, welcome and good afternoon to you.
Oh, I'm fine. Good afternoon to you, and thank you. But did I hear you reference me as being your second attempt at a joke today?
No, gee. Okay, I won't even try to joke anymore.
I know. I'm kidding you. No, I'm fine. It's great to be on the show again. I greatly appreciate it.
No, thank you very much. And our good friend, Dr. Ian Levine. Good afternoon to you, sir. How are you today?
Good afternoon, Mr. Dwayne and all. I am grateful. I am filled with gratitude, and I am bursting with a positive mindset.
All right. I almost feel like in unison, what's that chorus, you just that song we used to sing in grade school? Smile a while and give peace. But isn't it then that sometimes when we talk about gratitude and positivity, we are always conscious, that what you put out, you get back. Mm-hmm. You go into a space, and if you at least try to be kind, have a smile, genuine, and ask for something, the person, as busy as that person may be tending to other people, may be a little bit more amenable to giving you a second. Let's hold on, I'll be right with you, as opposed to you going in there and cracking the whip. Now, both can probably achieve the same outcome, but which one is more productive? And so it takes us down a path. But for today's show, Dr. Borden, many people listening and they'll hear, gratitude. But yeah, of course, I am grateful for life. Mm-hmm. But can you be actually appreciative of what there is so that you can get more out of it? Is it more than just this air-fair approach and that we see it?
Yeah, no, the gratitude is definitely a practice, and it comes in with the wave that's brought in mindfulness, meditation, the importance of being present and in the moment, because especially these days with technology, so many of us are disconnected from what's going on right now. A lot of us are on our phones, even in the car. We're thinking about where we're going, what we didn't get done, what we still have to do tonight. Mm-hmm. So there's not a lot of time invested in the present. And so with that wave, we've got a lot of people working towards being more conscious and more present in their life, but also especially in relationships and in interactions. There's been many benefits that have been found for it. Not only do other people enjoy it more, but it helps to lower our stress levels. It helps us to be more effective in the moment because we are actually paying attention to what's going on and responding to what's right in front of us. But even health benefits, that we find that it helps reduce things like inflammation and stress in the body as well. So there's a lot of different benefits that come from it, and gratitude is one of the practices that that tends to come within this school of thought as well, or this approach.
And that circle of gratitude is very important in terms of productivity. And someone that receives gratitude is more likely to be helpful to you and also to others. So if you're thinking about your workplace or even your family or your church, that really does create a circle of gratitude that can be rewarding, personally rewarding, and also helps with productivity and getting things done.
Yeah. Miss Anna, would you care to weigh in on what was shared?
Yeah, I agree very much with what's been said. I think it really is a practice. I think the value of gratitude for me has come most in the consistency, because it's a little bit of cognitive behavioral therapy. If you think of it that way, it will actually train your brain to see things differently if you're doing it consistently, even if it's only 5 minutes before you go to bed at night. Some people love keeping a gratitude list. For me, I actually, as Dr. Bodden was saying about mindfulness and meditation, I can struggle with meditation when life is busy and my head is busy, and I find it really helpful actually to meditate on what I'm grateful for. It is a thought, and it's not true meditation perhaps, but it's keeping my mind at least on positive mantras in that way. So it ends up being a very positive and uplifting meditation. And, it can be hard when you're in the weeds and feeling really, really down. It can be very difficult to believe that gratitude is going to make you feel anything different. So I think it's important to say that we still have to feel what we're feeling, but just try to allow yourself a period of time to wallow in that, and then go to your gratitude tools. And like I say, it will be easier if you've been practicing it quite frequently.
So Terry, that's whole notion of being in the weeds and the rocks, you're fishing, you cast your rod, your line goes out, you're in the weeds. I mean, what do you do?
Well, you deal with it. You just, number one, to be perfectly honest, my first response is be grateful you got a rod, a reel, line, and an anchor or a weight. I mean, that you're there fishing is pretty great in itself. And then you work on bringing it in. I would like to reference quickly an experience I had that I think speaks to where we're coming from and how much we need to keep going in this direction. It mainly has to do with positivity. About 18 years ago, I was working on a research paper, and I went to the American Psychological Association's database, and I put in keywords of relational, communication methods, generational, just to find out how people communicated that it impacted the next generation. Well, I got what they call over 29,000 hits. Almost 30,000 papers had been written on this topic. And I thought, well, this is brilliant. I love it. Well, I was going to talk about the ones with a positive effect. So I added the keyword positive, and I swear to you it's the truth. With the word positive on there, I got 6 hits. Everybody was writing about divorce and domestic violence, and they're all subjects that need to be dealt with. I don't deny that. But who's been researching what works? Who's been researching the positives? So we can tell our clients, here's the way forward. Here's a suggestion. Or to just say to them, where is it working for you? So we need to really, really lean on that positivity.
Now, Ian, with that positive, I mean, my late uncle used to talk about mind over matter, positive, approach. What do you think of that, Ian? Mind over matter?
Yes, definitely. It can be mind over matter. I've studied, apart from the area of self-talk, I've also studied neuroscience from a neuro coaching and neuro leadership perspective. And we all know it starts in 2 places: the mind and the brain. But obviously, even as Terry was saying, it can be very easy to say it's mind over matter, but it has to be a practice. It's easy for us as therapists and counselors and coaches to say it's mind over matter, but I would want to say mostly it must be practiced. The process of repetition. The more we practice it, the more it becomes a better and natural part of who we are. So
Right.
not you're going to say, today I start to say positive things. I start to engage in positive activities, and then tomorrow or the rest of my life will be positive. But it's a practice. The more we practice, the more that will become a part of who we are.
All right. Well, when we come back from the break, I'll pick up on the discussion where Miss Anna had shared. excuse me. I'll pretend that I was hosting a show earlier, so that's why. Miss Anna has shared the idea of training your brain, and Ian, you said, practice where you preach, practice. So we come back to the idea that if we look at things in a positive light, we look through a positive lens, that we can go through not with our heads in the sand and ignoring that things are, not exactly how they can be, but what can we do to make it better? How can we maintain a positive approach to those who are listening? Well, please stay tuned for more of our monthly Mental Health Matters.
Green Turtle, modern solutions to get you through the new normal. Download the Green Turtle app now and top up yours or a loved one's phone with any mobile carrier in any destination. Home delivery of laptops, tablets, phones, accessories, and iTunes and major online retailer gift cards. And now, home deliveries of groceries and courier service. Guaranteed delivery within 2 hours from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Visit their list of products at greenturtle.ky or download the Green Turtle app today. Green Turtle is not only the future of mobile, but today it can help save a life. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app. The future of mobile, saving lives today.
Honey, our fridge has stopped working again. Everything in the freezer is melting. We need to get this repaired right away. I'm calling Brand Source Service.
When you need the very best appliance service, call Brand Source Service at 623-5000. Offering service and installation of all brands and models of appliances. Brand Source Service is Cayman's source for appliance parts and repairs with qualified and experienced technicians and the island's largest stock of appliance parts. Brand Source Service will have your repair completed in a flash. So, whatever the problem is, call the experts at 623-5000. Brand Source Service, Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park. Telephone 623-5000.
King Sports Center takes pride in being more than just an ordinary gymnasium. For 14 years, their multi-purpose facility has been providing the community with a variety of sporting, recreational, and relaxation activities. King Sports Center has a bowling alley, lounge bar, multi-purpose rooms, powerhouse gym, rock climbing wall, bungee jumping, a 10,000 square foot rink, and so much more. For more information on the variety of services, call their friendly staff today at 946-5464 or email kings@candw.ky or visit www.kingsportscenter.com. King Sports Center, your one-stop shop for fitness, recreation, and relaxation.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
And welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us. On the other end of the line here on my studio is the Right Honorable, DJ Silver Fox. I tell you, man, having fun at Sox? Good stuff, huh? We're going to be having a long roll for the next couple of weeks, so he's back in the chair and so am I. And what a way to come back for our monthly Mental Health Matters. Gratitude, mindfulness, and positivity. Dr. Alexandra Borden, together with Ms. Heather Lockhart, our studio guest, Terry Delina Underwood, and Dr. Ian Levine, join us remotely. So we're still, following the guidelines of the government and keeping things. But as we're going through the break, this notion of training your brain and being positive, again, at each sort of segment start, Dr. Borden, defer to you, but is this about people burying their heads in the sand and ignoring that there aren't trials and tribulations, that there aren't challenges and things that bother them that they probably can't fix at that point in time? Or is it about, embracing it and saying, hey, let me put a good foot forward and make the best of it, and hopefully, we'll get there together?
Yeah. No, it's definitely not about just ignoring things and going straight for the positives. But Anna had actually, Miss Anna had actually referenced cognitive behavioral therapy, and so when there are difficulties, so one of the techniques that we use is reframing, right? So when negative thoughts come up, like I don't know if I can do this, why does this always happen to me? I don't know if I can keep going. Then in that stage, we kind of step back and look for a more balanced approach to what's going on, because when we get overwhelmed with things, we tend to only see the negatives. So with that, it is going to be taking a more balanced approach. The way that this comes in is that it's not going to be ignoring all of those, but rather keeping it, realistic and based on what's going on. I think Ms. Heather can elaborate on that in a minute. But I think that when I use gratitude with my clients, a lot of times it is looking for positives, because our brain naturally will look for the negatives, what didn't get done, what we did wrong, what we need to do better next time. And that's evolutionary to help us to continue to improve or get things done. So it takes work to stop, to slow down, to look at the things that did go well, to look at our strengths, to look at what did go well, which is all very important in learning as well, but also with maintaining our self-esteem, our optimism, our motivation. And so when I use that, and the way I often do it is a gratitude journal. I think Masana talked about gratitude list. And with that, I have clients each day look for 3 things that went well. And so I did it with 3. I had a friend that did it with 10. We've decided 3 is better.
3 is better.
10 is hard to find every day. And so with that, you get, and I ask them to be very specific, you know, because I have also had people do it, you know, I'm grateful for life, my family, and God, or something like that, or my dog. And if you write the same thing every day, it loses something. So I'd ask them to change it up, be different every day. And some days it's going to be, I had a great PB&J sandwich. And other days it's going to be, I got my dream job. You know, it can be high, it can be big things, it can be little things, but it really makes you slow down to appreciate it. Helps you start to look for those things, especially if you know you have to write 3 things down. You start to look for them. And then it just kind of sets you up on that, on a different outlook. Right? It's great for going to, like, I like to do mine before I go to sleep, because that way at night, instead of worrying about the next day, you're kind of like, you know, some things did go well today. Yeah. My mom likes to do it in the morning on the next day to set herself up for success that day. So it's finding what works for you. But then when you do start to get into any difficulties, you've got more to work with to counteract the negative thoughts that are real evidence-based, you know, actual things that you can rely on, that feel true to you.
All right. Well, besides, before I ask you to continue with the discussion, we do have a caller online. It is our monthly mental health matters show, gratitude, mindfulness, and positivity. Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thank you for calling.
Afternoon, Dwayne.
Hey, how are you today?
Not too bad, you?
Oh man, I am. If you don't mind me saying, I clean it every day. I am blessed, man. I even get accused of being handsome some days.
See where I live. That's every day.
But thank you for sharing with us.
That's in you with the Father creation. You're always blessed.
Amen. Amen.
And I listen to the show and, hear what these people say. But, I always said about, education is that each one teach one. And you might go with the train to be a lawyer, but you might be a mechanic. That's what's in you. My 2 sons asked me, said, Dad, what do you think we should do? I said, do what's in you. That's what I done. I worked in the bank, I did painting, I did a million things in my life, and I was a cop for 9 years. But then I wanted to do what's in me, and I wanted to be a small businessman, and that's what I want to do. Small businesses, they're not doing very well right now, but that's what I done. I want to be independent, and I'm very good at marketing. My daughter, I got a degree in IT. She says, Daddy, you should have taken IT. I said, I didn't need to take that. I can teach you that. So she heard me talking, giving her ideas. So, in politics, most of what happens is when people get elected, look at what they do. The first thing they do is set up a board members and advisors and counselors, and they're all their friends and family most of the time. Not that these people know the job, but because they're family and friends, that's how it's set up. Not true, Dewey? Look at it.
That's a leading question.
And then when they get in, who is the first meeting they have?
So with that, then, in the context of our discussion, this idea of where we are, is it then that we as a people look and see and unwilling to act to correct, or is it that we're just accepting of mediocrity and reward it?
We just accept what's going on, but nowadays people is waking up and opening their mouth. That's what I'm doing.
So then we're grateful for
the Holy Spirit doing that.
Yeah, a free society that gives us the opportunity.
Before I forget what I want to say before you cut me off there.
No, go ahead.
I was saying, most of the time when you get the next government in, the first people they have a meeting with, the chamber commerce, all the millionaires. There we go. But the system will be changed because it's in the Bible. You know that yourself. Revelation 18 show you the fall of Babylon. Matthew 24 and 25 show you the return of the Messiah, Jesus Christ. And I'm going to go by the Bible because I've lived by that Bible all my life. Without problem, taking me out of it, and I don't like.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to make that little comment, and you all have a great day.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Thanks to the panel.
Appreciate it. You know what? Another thing to be grateful for, a free society where we can share. But Miss Heather, with that in mind, is it then that we are more prone to take so much for granted so easily because of where we have? I mean, it rained, but it was a deluge that could lead to mass scale flooding, like some places because of the landscape that they have. A little bit of rain for them could be catastrophic. Here it's that finally the dust is beat down, as old people say. Where are we with mindfulness, positive gratitude in this context, as Dr. Boyd was sharing earlier?
As Dr. Budd mentioned, it's very true. We sometimes do tend to dwell on the negative.
Mm-hmm.
So it's important sometimes to anchor in with focusing more on the positives. And again, as has been pointed out by different panel members today, it's not blind positivity.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just the pressure to be constantly positive, to be constantly happy, but to focus on results and goals.
Mm-hmm.
And that does take a positive mindset sometimes in order to succeed. So a couple tips that can be helpful is to kind of listen to what are we saying to ourselves, to kind of manage that self-talk. Is it negative? Are we telling ourselves negative things? Also, to try to surround yourself with positive influences. That includes your social media, what you're looking at, what are you watching, what are you listening to? Who are you surrounding yourself with? Do you have positive mentors, coworkers, and friends? Because that can really influence us. As Dr. Bodden mentioned, celebrate the small wins. We do tend to dwell on failure sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
If you listen to a review from your boss, you could hear 10 good things, 15 good things. You're going to listen to that one bit of constructive feedback and sometimes really dwell on it.
Mm.
Also, if you're moving forward, there's going to be failures. Failures are part of the successful path forward. We can learn a lot from failures. If there's no failures, we're probably not taking any chances. And we also want to focus on the growth mindset. We want to remember from a neuroscience standpoint that we are capable of moving forward. We are not fixed in how we are. Many things that we admire about others and think that we can't do, we're capable of achieving that. Sometimes we'll say, well, it's my brother. He's the one that's really good at this or that.
Uh-huh.
Or, you know what, my colleague or this person that's XYZ, they're the ones that always get the promotions because they're the ones that are really good at this skill. Well, you know what? Learn that skill. Stretch yourself. Push yourself. Get on the diving board and jump off and try it.
That's right. Put in your skippies and jump right in.
Yep.
In the deep end.
Yep.
So, Miss Anna, then from that, training your brain in that gratitude list and the notion, some of us may find it easier to dwell on the negative, to even if we were to write down, on one column the negatives and the positives, we'll find that we have more negatives. How hard is it to focus on the positive, to pull them out and to recognize that, even something as simple as we think it is so significant. We have clean air to breathe, so therefore there's life. I mean, is it as hard as we make it out, or is it as easy as we're sharing?
It can be if you're coming from a place where you haven't been in this practice, or you're really dealing with tough stuff. We're not trying to create a whole society of Pollyannas, that just blindly go around smiling when the world is burning around them. But I think it's just, again, it will come with time and practice. I think what we've recently experienced, and the rest of the world is still very much experiencing it, as are we to a certain extent with COVID-19, that was a great example because daily life became very, very stressful for many people. They had kids at home. They had to homeschool. They were still trying to work from home. Some people lost their jobs. They had to suddenly move in a very short period of time. There was a lot of stresses that were brought with that. But with something like that, we got this perspective shift where, especially in this island, we were so grateful because we still had our health. We still had the big things. And so there was a really, many people struggled, and I completely understand why.
Mm-hmm.
But there was also this ability for people to realize if it was hard to adjust to working from home, well, I still have a job. Like, aren't I grateful for that? Because so many people, both here and in the whole world, we were hearing, were losing their jobs. We were struggling to look after children at home and that kind of thing, but we still were healthy. We had very few and very well-contained cases here. Even the reaction to the lockdown, people could find it really stressful if they saw it as very restrictive and limiting their personal freedoms. But if people were able to look at it as protective and being effective and working to protect us from the virus, suddenly it was less stressful, and that was just a simple flip in perspective, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, how could they? They're telling me I can't leave my home on a Sunday, or look how well they've taken leadership. And, it's not a political thing in that sense. I'm just saying you can view that as helping you, or you can view it as hindering your freedom. And that's a choice we have. And that's what people forget is we can't control a lot in life, and that's where our stress comes from. But we can choose how we respond and how we view things. And it can be very difficult sometimes. So we need to take it easy on ourselves. It's not like we're going to wake up and be like, oh, great, this massively stressful thing happened to me. Well, that's okay. I'm still alive. Aren't I grateful? But it's a gradual thing that we can start to control, is letting ourselves feel something and then trying to pull ourselves out of it just that little bit quicker. That's really where we'll get the benefits, I think.
I like what you share. Well, let's just pause quickly and take a quick break. When we come back, Mr. Terry will ask some responses from you. Maybe it is Pollyanna after all. All right, stay tuned for Talk Today.
Fidelity Bank would like to thank all essential workers. We salute your efforts and thank you for the sacrifices you've made to keep us all safe. During these challenging times we're facing, our top priority is the health and safety of the communities we serve. And while it's true that things are changing rapidly every day, one thing that will never change is our commitment to giving you the best and sound financial solutions to help you during and after the coronavirus pandemic. At Fidelity Bank, our focus will always be you. Fidelity, we're good for you.
Green Turtle, modern solutions to get you through the new normal. Download the Green Turtle app now and top up yours or a loved one's phone with any mobile carrier in any destination. Home delivery of laptops, tablets, phones, accessories, and iTunes and major online retailer gift cards. And now, home deliveries of groceries and courier service. Guaranteed delivery within 2 hours from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Visit their list of products at greenturtle.ky or download the Green Turtle app today. Green Turtle is not only the future of mobile, but today it can help save a life. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app. The future of mobile, saving lives today.
Renew your vehicle and driver's license online at dvdl.gov.ky with the new normal in effect. Now you can avoid the lines and simply apply online. As part of the upgraded processes, the DVDL will also email your motor renewal vehicle documents. Skip the line and apply online at dvdl.gov.ky.
You purchase the technology, you have the right to monitor and ask questions about what your child is doing. Visit ndc.ky for tips on how to have difficult conversations. This is a public service message from the National Drug Council and Radio Cayman.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thank you for joining us. And thanks to Dr. Alexandra Borden, Ms. Heather Lockhart. We have Terry Delaney, Anna Wooden, and Dr. Ian Levine as our guests. It's our monthly Mental Health Matters. Gratitude, mindfulness, and positivity. It almost sounds like this could be a rap song, you know? No, but I see that partly to elicit, thankfully, I didn't have to pay that much for it, a bit of laughter, because sometimes we don't laugh. We don't realize how if you were to engage in that laughter. Dr. Martin.
No, I have an activity that I like to do, and Miss Heather see me do this one. She knows I love this one. It's a laughter meditation, and it comes with mindfulness.
It's great.
And it's awesome. So I've done it with a lot of groups I've had in the past where you have to laugh different ways. So laughing is so good. It's good for the soul, but it alleviates tension. I'm calling here, reduces blood pressure, pain, all of these things, these great things it does. And the way that you do it is you have to laugh different ways. Like laughing like Santa Claus, or just, ho, ho, ho. Or like a hyena. That's what it reminded me of. Just to bring you into the moment. I appreciate it.
No. But that's the thing, and thank you for that. Because, Terry, I wanted to ask of you, in the start of this segment, when we're looking at this idea of being positive, for many of us, it is a challenge. We've, either because of our jobs and the weight and responsibility of our lives, our life's experiences and the like, sometimes we see things. Sometimes it's just listening to the politicians and the doom and the gloom, watching the news media and whatever cycle it is, and we're seeing all these things happen. And the narrative that they are seemingly creating, whether consciously or otherwise, is one of negativity, destruction, one of despair. So how do we swing that into being positive and gracious and having a sense of gratitude, Terry?
Well, it takes a lot of commitment and a lot of strength. I heard the phrase earlier on the show, train the brain or retrain the brain, and that's what we have to do, because through various methods, we have, I think the genetics were mentioned earlier by Dr. Baden, that it is an automatic thing for the human brain to look at what's wrong because we want to make it better. But then we need to quickly be able to take a look at how do we make it better rather than dwelling on what's wrong.
Right.
I think we can compare it to muscles of the body. If I want to make my arms stronger, I will go into a gym and I will do, what's the old saying, press iron, or I will do the exercises repetitively over a period of time.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things we have to do, is start doing some of the positive thinking and positive responding and repeat it over time and build that resiliency to the negativity and the power of the positivity.
So Ian, please jump in.
Yes, and even as Terry was saying, he spoke about that process of repetition. And we actually know by the studies of neuroscience that is exactly how the brain is rewired by the process of repetition. You know, the most frequent and strongest messages which your brain receives is going to receive those messages and transform us into those messages. So as Terry said, it's very extremely important that we engage in that process of repetition. We've often also heard the phrase that it takes, 21 days to make a habit, and the reality is that after 21 days that many persons are left disappointed because they're going to say, I did this repetitively for 21 days and I think I'm the same. Yes, it takes 21 days to form a habit, but in reality, it takes at least a minimum as a starter, at least 3 to 6 months to really solidify or to cement those habits in our brains. But the starting point is to be repetitive about it. When you are repetitive, your brain is actually creating new neural pathways.
Isabel?
I was just noting that. That's great information.
Yeah. As I listen to what you're sharing, then I look at life and we see what is it that our elders tell us. You catch more flies with honey. So being positive, complimentary. But for many of us, I reflect, if I can borrow from Terry's example earlier, I reflect on an exercise I did almost 2 decades ago about getting people to appreciate where they are. And it was a simple exercise, one column, write and say good about, your coworker, this partner you have here. And the other column, just write down the things you don't like. And everybody found that right-hand column with the negatives, they had to, be forced to stop, It was so easy to record the things they didn't like, but to find 1 or 2 or 3, as many as 3 good things about this person, whether it's your best friend, your spouse, your co-worker, it was challenging. By the end of the session, you could appreciate more. So then with training the brain, we're looking at things positively. Are we then at risk that in our lives, there are those of us who, as Anna said, looking for Pollyanna and running around, smiling without a care in the world because they're totally oblivious to what's going on? Or are we some, who are so negative and everything we do and say comes across with vitriol? Where is that perspective that we need to be?
Well, I would just add to the first part that I think the gratitude in relationships is a big thing. And a lot of times when I'm working with clients, with families, or even looking at couples, so I tend to work more individually, but a lot of my clients have families and partners. To look for the good in a relationship or in someone else, to say it, have them respond to it, because then they know you're looking for it and that you've acknowledged it. It really does a lot for the relationship. And so I think that while it's very good practice on our own, it's even more helpful in relationships, and it's so nice to have, I think you give the example of even small exchanges like saying thank you to the cashier. You know, like it helps you feel more positive. Even smiling, you know, helps you feel more positive, helps you feel better. And then you're more likely to get positive back. Not always.
No, but
more likely it keeps that door open as well.
Yeah.
And it's important this year, as Anna was saying, is that this is an extraordinary year in terms of what people are dealing with, in terms of handling so much at home, working from home, a lot of extra stressors. So even the most ordinary efforts at work can sometimes take a lot out of us. So it's important, if you're as a coworker, as a manager in the workplace, to acknowledge efforts that people really are going through a lot. So to reach out and to tell people when you see something, thank you for doing this, and not necessarily just to acknowledge the person and what it does for you, but what it's doing for the organization. Yeah. But very specifically address that acknowledgement in terms of them, not just, hey, wow, this really made my day and made this report easier for me, but I see what you're doing. So, Mr. Sterling, thank you so much for having me on the program today, and for lowering mental health stigma in the Cayman Islands. It's not just that maybe this put my brand up for today, but in the bigger picture, you're really helping the community here in Cayman. And thank you, Dr. Budden, for all that it takes for you to do this program. I know this isn't the only thing you do with your day today, right? So you want to look at the bigger picture on how you're extending gratitude. And this goes again for your relationships in your family, that you want to not just say a quick, oh, thanks. But maybe an actual Post-it note that you actually put on the coffee maker. I've had clients bring in things like that and say, wow, my husband must have seen me for the first time here in 15 years. Or they'll bring in an email from their boss. They'll drag that in and show me and say, you know, something, I really made an effort and my boss is seeing me. On the other hand, I do quite a bit with career transition, where people are looking for other roles. And it's not sometimes more than just money or a job description or a title. They do not feel valued. They do not feel that their work means anything. So it's important when you're expressing gratitude to make sure that it means something to the person that you're giving to, that it's well stated. These are low-cost tokens of appreciation that can be very meaningful.
All right. Well, then when we come back from the break, because we have the news headlines coming up, and once we return, maybe we continue the discussion, get people to appreciate the importance of looking at things, you know, in a sincere, positive approach, but very truthful in what we're saying and what we're seeing. All right. We're going to invite you to join us after the news. Stay tuned.
Follow Radio Cayman on Twitter. All the latest information, breaking news, community events, and more. Follow us at twitter.com/Radio Cayman.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman.
It's only 2 species that we have, on the island.
Generations present.
Your voice, your choice.
It is in the best interest of the people of these islands.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
With your latest headlines, I'm April Cummings. Police arrest a 29-year-old Northside man in connection with an offense of indecent assault. They say a search of his residence led to the discovery and recovery of approximately 12 pounds of what appears to be ganja, along with drug paraphernalia and more than $2,000 in cash. Police say they also discovered ammunition and 2 firearms, one an adapted flare gun, the other a pistol. 3 women and another man are also under arrest. In international headlines, in Jamaica, Scotiabank temporarily closes its Ironshore branch for cleaning after reports of 2 staff members being checked out for COVID-19. The executive vice president of retail banking in that country says they decided to close the branch for a day to deep clean and sanitize as a safeguard. They say the branch will reopen on September 8th. In the U.S., Democratic vice presidential nominee Kamala Harris met today with the family of a Wisconsin man shot by police last month to kick off her visit to the critical swing state, where Republican Vice President Mike Pence was also visiting as the presidential race enters its final phase. The meeting kicked off a packed day of Labor Day campaign events, with Harris scheduled to meet with IBEW union workers and black business owners in Milwaukee, with Pence touring an energy facility in La Crosse. Evacuation orders are expanded as a massive fire churns through the Sierra National Forest in the U.S. It is one of dozens of fires that crews have been battling during a record-breaking heat wave. The Creek Fire burned more than 114 square miles of timber since Friday. The flames are 0% contained, and California sheriff's deputies have been going door to door to make sure people are following the evacuation orders. Those are your headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom. I'm April Cummings.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
Your voice, your choice, your radio.
Green Turtle, modern solutions to get you through the new normal. Download the Green Turtle app now and top up yours or a loved one's phone with any mobile carrier in any destination. Home delivery of laptops, tablets, phones, accessories, and iTunes and major online retailer gift cards. And now, home deliveries of groceries and courier service. Guaranteed delivery within 2 hours from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Visit their list of products at greenturtle.ky or download the Green Turtle app today. Green Turtle is not only the future of mobile, but today it can help save a life. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app, the future of mobile, saving lives today.
Now with FedEx, the more you ship, the more you save. Get up to 50% discount when sending your packages to all destinations in the world with our international services. Visit FedEx.com, keyword Caribbean discounts for terms and conditions.
Maintaining a strong mind and body through sports and general healthy living is a good course of action. But what about your spiritual man, your inner man? He has to be awakened, fed, exercised, strengthened, and led according to the will of God. So, have you heard the call? I'm Evangelist Brother Joseph Joey Ebanks, and I'm inviting you to worship Wednesday and Thursday nights at 7:30. We are bringing the Word of God to our communities as Jesus commanded. Faith comes by hearing, so come and hear. Bring your own chair or simply park and listen to the Word of God from your vehicle, covering the Cayman Islands with the Word of God, one community at a time. This is Evangelist Brother Joseph Joey Ebanks, and I will be in East End, Little Hurler's site, September the 9th and 10th, and at Ernest Powell House in Breakers on the 16th and 17th of September, 7:30 p.m.
As the community continues to take precautions from COVID-19, it is important to stay prepared for other disasters now that we're in the hurricane season. Here are some post-hurricane safety tips from the Department of Environmental Health. Always separate debris from household garbage after a hurricane. Debris includes roofing materials, tree branches, and metals. All items of debris must be placed in separate piles and must not cause obstruction to roadways or come in contact with electrical lines. For full guidance on post-hurricane safety tips, visit www.deh.gov.ky.
The honeymoon over. A CNCF production heard on Radio Cayman Wednesdays at 7:30 p.m. and repeated on Saturdays at 6:45 p.m. It's proudly sponsored by Radio Cayman, Ministry of Culture, CUC, Grape Tree Cafe, Cayman Medical Supplies, and Puritan Cleaners. Make sure and tune in. You hear?
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thank you for joining us. And at 1:30, I believe it's open line. I should probably check my schedule again because I was away for a few weeks, physically absent from the studio where Singh was doing a great job. We had a chance to chat every day. But it is a monthly mental health matters, and so grateful for this opportunity. You know, gratitude, mindfulness, and positivity. Dr. Alexandra Boyd, thank you. It's a lot of work. I put together these shows. You do an excellent job with your panel every month. So thank you.
We appreciate Radio Cayman allowing us to have these discussions each month.
Well, it's been, as Ms. Heather Lockhart shared with us, an invaluable resource for our community to appreciate the importance of our overall health and well-being. So joining our studio guests, we also have Terry Delaney, Anna Wooten, and Dr. Ian Levine on the line, so we don't forget that. But Dr. Borden, when we're looking at this now, let's continue the discussion. Take us down another path, if you wish.
Yeah. Well, so I just wanted to touch a little bit more on the mindfulness as well, and I'd be interested in hearing. So, we do have a range of different professions with this as well. So I'd be interested in hearing how each of them tend to use these within their practices and their approach. But mindfulness in particular is one that can be helpful, and it's really about being in the moment and allowing things to come and not forcing things and not fighting things. And so my way that I use mindfulness is actually from an approach called dialectical behavior therapy, which I liked because I tend to be a very tangible person, and I find mindfulness sometimes can be hard to conceptualize and to understand because it can be quite abstract. But the idea is about being able to be in the moment, to really experience things, And traditionally is associated with different breathing techniques, to focus on the physical experience with breathing, and not holding on to things with your mind, just being really able to cherish the moment. Stopping to smell the roses really is the essence of mindfulness. With DBT, she talks about, anxiety comes from worrying about the future, depression comes from worrying about the past, and we miss what's going on right in front of us. And so with mindfulness, she actually has several different ways of being able to bring yourself back into the moment. And so I tend to specialize with trauma survivors. And with that, there's something called dissociation, which is where we actually experientially just kind of leave. We just kind of check out when things get overwhelming. So it's a very important practice for them, but it's an important practice really for anyone that wants to enjoy life. And so with that, there's different ways of being able to just kind of observe and notice things and just kind of really being in the moment. I tell my clients that I work with them that when I started practicing mindfulness, I found out we actually had fuzzy walls at the clinic I worked at, as I see you guys do here as well, probably for the same reason, to stop sound.
Is that what it's for? Oh, okay.
At our clinic, I'm assuming that was the cheapest wallpaper. It was a school clinic.
That's what I thought it was too.
But even ways of being able to describe things and just objectively observe things without labeling it or judging it, not holding on to things, as well as a way of participating as well, and just focusing your mind completely on whatever you're doing, really experiencing the moment. And that's the way it's helpful mental health wise, productivity wise, getting things done, doing things with one mindful, being one mindful, and just focusing on that and get it done, and about being effective. So when we do get into the harder times, being able to sit with the emotions, acknowledge the emotions, but not hold on to them, not fight them, but be able to feel your way through them is how we bring mindfulness in with what I do.
All right. Well,
yeah.
Let's invite our guests. Perhaps, Ian, we start with you. Any thoughts in relation to that? And go right ahead. And then Miss Anna, perhaps you will jump in after Ian.
Yes, as Dr. Borden said, mindfulness is, you're being in the moment. And me from a self-talk perspective and also from a neuroscience perspective, it's very critical that we remain in that moment. But we're so distracted every day. Our minds and our brains are literally competing for so many different things that sometimes if we aren't taught to be mindful, and if we don't actively practice mindfulness, we would always be, our mind would be going from the left to right, from north to south. So it's very critical, even as I say, from a self-taught perspective there, where you are engaging constantly with the positive aspect of who you are. Once again, not negated that there are things, that there's a storm around you, but it's how are you going to get through the storm. But it's being present in the moment, not thinking about yesterday or thinking about today. So tomorrow has its own challenges of itself. So when you get to tomorrow, guess what? You have to deal with tomorrow. So why am I dealing with yesterday, today, and tomorrow? So we just remain constant in the moment, in this time and this season.
All right. Miss Anna, your perspective.
Hello, sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Are you able to hear
Okay.
us? Okay, perfect.
I didn't actually, it cut out on the last person's answer, so do you mind just letting me know what you want me to share on, because I wasn't able to hear too well.
Okay, well, hey, we're almost to the end of this segment, and we haven't had any technological problems, so we're grateful for that. Dr. Borden, you were...
Just one. Oh, so, Sana, we're asking if you'd share how you use mindfulness or meditation in your practice,
sure.
and how you, in your approach.
No problem. I just think a lot of our stress comes from living in the future or living in the past, right? They always say anxiety is when you're thinking too much about the future, and depression is thinking in the past. That's an oversimplification. I don't wish to perhaps add fuel to that fire, but I do think there's some value there about when we're able to just realize that all we have is today and how we are acting in and of the moment. That's going to give us a lot more empowerment, and that's going back to what I was saying earlier about having a choice. There's not often that we have choices in life. There's a lot of things that are chosen for us. So whatever we can do to be present, and I think that's where mindfulness really comes in, and the meditation, it just pulls us back to now. We can't worry to death about what's going to happen tomorrow because everything could change. And again, our year this year has proven that to us over and over again. So it's really better that we just say, well, what can I do today to feel better? What can I focus on? I can choose to focus on what's going to make me feel worse, or I can choose to focus on what makes me feel better. And that's gratitude, that's mindfulness, that's all wrapped up in one. And again, it's very difficult to do that sometimes, and I don't wish to minimize the work that goes into that. I do think it's really important to give yourself that little bit of time to feel what you're feeling and not just try and shove it down and ignore it and plaster over it with false positivity. But once you've had that feeling and gotten it out, whether it's a good cry or you've spoken to someone or you've just given yourself 30 minutes to be like, this sucks, why does this happen to me? And all this self-pitying kind of self-talk, I think it's then better just to try and move on with positivity in mind. I can't change that, but I can focus on right now. I can focus on the fact that I'm breathing, I feel good, I've got something to look forward to, and if you don't, then set something up, call a friend, message someone, go for a walk, get outside in nature, something you can do that will just help to lift your mood. We all know ourselves, we know what works, and just do something for yourself, and that's really all we can ask for. And I'm sorry, before I go, I do have to say I have to sign off really quickly, and I'm very sorry for that because I think there's so much great conversation happening, and I've been very grateful to be a part of it. But I just didn't want to disappear on you, so I wanted to say that before I went.
Well, no, thank you for sharing, and this is one other reason why I say, hopefully often enough, that I'm very, very grateful to the guests who come into the studio, because lunchtimes, I don't know about anybody else, but I get hungry at lunchtime. And so,
Oh, I promise I'm not leaving you just to eat. But
no, but please do, though.
But I understand.
Yeah, man.
But do it mindfully.
Exactly.
Consciously.
That's something I can look forward to and be grateful for
all
today.
Right.
So
thank you.
As well as all of you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. And Terry, with that, then, as Miss Anna, takes her exit stage left, in life, Terry, is it that our setting, our life's experiences, our expectations, what is it that you think guides us more in terms of our perspective, and whether we're positive or negative?
Well, I think what affects us the most is that which we choose to focus on. And I think we need to be very mindful and very grateful for the experiences we've had in life. And what did we learn from them? What did we choose to take from them? And we have to find ways to balance that out to give us a more fulfilling life and more joy in our life. Ms. Heather made a very astute comment. Others touched on it for sure, about the idea of being grateful, to overtly express your gratitude. Tell people thank you when it's right. Be able to go to someone and say, I just watched how you handled your child. That was really wonderful. I think you're a great mom. Those comments are very powerful and very important. And I think most important is we have to remember to do that for ourselves as well.
Right.
Stopping in front of a mirror is leaving the bedroom or the bathroom and look in the mirror and thanking that person in the mirror for all they do, where they've brought us to.
Right.
But we need to remember our relationship with ourselves.
Let me throw something on the table a second, unless Ms. Heather, you wish to jump in.
It's a great point.
Yeah.
I love that. Thank you, Terry.
Yeah. Because of what Terry just shared, I consciously, and if I'm wrong, I would ask, don't send me a bill for it, okay? But I would ask that you guide me, because I don't want to do it knowing incorrectly. But I consciously, about 2 decades ago, following this little training session that I told you I was on, decided, what, life is really good. I'm already, I believe, a positive person, looking for the good. But we don't share enough of our gratitude. No, I didn't use the words like gratitude, mindfulness, and stuff like that. I didn't know those things. But people were not smiling enough. They were not hospitable. They just found it to be weird. So I would say what now translates to be compliments to people, but genuinely. And I've done that ever since. So it is part of my norm. You come into the studio, I try to find something good to say. I think almost all of my guests, hopefully, my prayer is that they feel welcome, they feel invited, they feel comfortable. Even Terry, right, Terry? No, just kidding. Sorry. Sometimes. Well, okay, see, sometimes, right? And I tried it with a sense of humor and a little bit of joke now. Miss Norma is saying, oh, please, no jokes. We're paying you to talk, not to make jokes, okay? That's, holiday and 2-drink minimum next time around, right? But with that in mind, I find that there are some of us, maybe because of this year, maybe because of what has been transpiring in recent times with behaviors amongst people abusing their positions and so on, that a compliment can be misconstrued and can make people uncomfortable because we do not sometimes know how to respond. Oh, Miss Heather, today you did whatever that thing is. We say it properly, improperly, but others will respond and go, oh, shucks, you talking foolishness. So when they get a compliment, they don't know how to respond. Sometimes we don't know how to offer the compliment, even though we don't have any ulterior motive. Is that part and parcel of retraining how we look at things? Should we be doing it? Guide us, Miss.
Yeah, well, and that's something that I often talk with clients about because it is very quick, and this happens actually, especially with women, where someone will compliment us and we very quickly shut it down. As a way of us often our own self-doubts, and it's hard to accept. Say, I love your dress. Oh, this old thing, it's old, or I got it on sale, or we very quickly cut it down. And to be able to sit with that is something I encourage clients to do. And so and it's something that's hard, and as you begin to pay attention to it, you realize how often it happens. So clients will often say, well, what would you like to say when they say that? Thank you, it's my favorite. To be able to acknowledge it without cutting it down. That way it's positive for you and for the other person. And so it can be uncomfortable, but as we begin to value ourselves more and we begin to look for the strengths and the good in ourselves, it can become easier to be able to accept compliments and to work from there. But it's an instant reaction. It's what we call a negative automatic thought with CBT. So it takes a lot to stop that instinct, but even just to say thank you and smile and allow it to just kind of sit can be something that can be good for us.
Miss Heather?
Yeah, I've had people come with a coaching goal of, I have trouble accepting praise. I have trouble accepting compliments without negating it.
Yeah. And it's something that I've seen. Now, is that you, Dr. Levine?
Yeah, I was saying also from like a type of subliminal perspective. I normally, and for me personally, I have to work on this on my own. That issue of how do you receive a compliment. Once again, lots of skills we actually have to be taught. So when someone says, good job, great job, whatever compliment, I just say thank you, as we just heard. And I also consciously know, and it is now subconscious, not because I've been doing it so frequently, I also bring my hand to my heart.
Well, I'm glad you shared that because I did it partly because of being on the receiving end. Even today, and this is 2 decades plus of consciously trying to be aware. Genuinely, sincerely, if I think this thing is this, I will say it. I'm not going to offer up false praise or a false compliment. That doesn't. But Dr. Borden, whether it's a man or a woman, the same thing. A fellow will come into the studio for an argument, and hoping I'm talking to the school, and he has been exercising. He's been getting, I say, man, you're looking great. And men will play it down the same way, right? And as I started sharing, hopefully he doesn't mind, DJ Lynn, a very positive individual who has been very deliberate in sharing life's journeys and is so encouraging and nurturing. And if there's anybody that could get me into social media, it would probably be him. I don't think he's that good, but he's almost there. Because if that's a way to engage with him, he's positive, he's productive, he has a perspective that makes you want to embrace life with a sense of gratitude and graciousness. Now, whether we do that because we're mindful, but at least we're very conscious and cognizant of it. I ask then, with that in mind, we're looking at this decade that many of us will not put on our resume. We wish we could just accept the invitation. What was the joke that we saw recently? My mother promised to snap me into the middle of next year. Is that offer still standing? We make all these jokes because it's been a horrible year in so many respects. Dr. Bourne?
No, it has definitely been a hard year and I say especially in Cayman. I mean, starting with the earthquake and then the tsunami warning and then the dump fires, there's been a lot, you know, and it's always interesting because people always come in and like, you know, I'm really stressed and I'm really sorry to have to come back. And I'm like, no, not at all. There's been so much that has happened this year. But I kind of giggled because my husband, I was actually talking about how we missed the lockdown. Well, because I was at home, so we got to watch movies and hang out with the dogs, and you know, so he very easily saw the other side of it. It was difficult transition, but that was why I had laughed. But there's definitely been a lot going on, and it's hard to. It does take time to search sometimes to see the good in things, and I think, and it's okay to not fully embrace things or fully love things either. I think that's the nice thing with kind of the mindfulness is just being where you are.
And as I just quickly to check, I'm reading a quick WhatsApp message from someone, and I think it weighs in nicely. Some of us aren't able or willing to accept praise or help. Maybe it's pride. I'm paraphrasing what this person wrote, but is that the question that they ask? Is it psychological? Is it societal? Or is it cultural? That, you know, we need help, whatever that thing is, but we just not going to ask for it. We've received the compliment. Great job. You know, last year's profits have gone through the roof all because of you. Everybody is. Just put my hand, you know, to the grindstone. Miss Heather?
It's probably a combination.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say. I think it's all of those. So, and I think, and depending on the person's personal experiences, their personality type, the culture. Obviously, I think Cayman, we tend to be very modest, right? And so we're taught not to brag about ourselves, not to be boastful, not to be prideful.
No, just kidding. Sorry, I jumped on the tree.
I'll let you take that.
No, I'm just kidding.
But you know, so I'd say there's a little bit of all of those in there as well. It depends on the culture of the business that you're in or of your family, right? So I think there's all of those are factors in it. But I also think that no matter what our history or what our background is, if there's something that we want to be different, if we want to be able to accept compliments or we want to be able, and I even have clients prepare for it. I'm like, okay, so next time they say this, what do you want to say? You know, to prep for it so that way you have the response that you want.
Training your brain, training your responses.
Yeah. We do the same thing if they're going to get into an argument, right? So if this happens again, what are you going to do differently? So next time you get a compliment, how do you want to respond? And practice. So it's more likely to come out more naturally for you.
Okay, so then if I may ask, and perhaps Terry and then Ian, naturally, pick up on the word that Dr. Ward used. I use genuinely and sincerely. We say things to people. Let's say we make a positive complimentary comment. There's some of us who are strained. You know, what is it? The backhanded compliment. If you're familiar with that phrase. Others, we just don't know how to do it, but there is something ulterior in the comment. Dr. Vaughn jumps in. Go right ahead.
I know the type. Yeah. And so that's where I would talk to someone to find out where it's coming from. If it's I don't know if you guys have seen Mean Girls, where they use compliments to tear people down. And okay, you're gonna have to catch up. So fully recommend watching it if you want to understand society in high school in modern times.
I don't have to, you know.
But there's the main mean girl, who's like the most popular girl, would compliment things she really didn't like in other people, and as they'd walk away, she'd criticize them. So there are people who will do that. But, and so that's where, you know, sometimes if clients get a funny feeling like that about it, I'll kind of explore where it's coming from, because sometimes there are ulterior motives, or it's not genuine. And like, you know, you'll know there's some people who just kind of load you up with compliments that don't even make sense or are inconsistent with what they said the last time. So you'll begin to pick up on those kinds of things.
Yeah. Honesty is the best policy.
Yeah. But I'd say if it's someone you don't know, whatever it is, they like your dress, they like your new haircut, go with it. You know, it doesn't make sense to worry yourself. That's why I tell them, either people get upset with my restructuring practices. I'm like, well, either it's honest or they're a jerk. So it's not worth your time or your energy to get upset about it. Smile, thank them, and walk away.
There you go. So, Terry, and as we roll out the end of the show, some final thoughts for you, and then Dr. Levine.
Okay, and quickly, one of the things I wanted to say is that we need to be more aware of ourselves and how we react to whether it be a compliment or even an insult. Because what we're talking about, mindfulness, positivity, it doesn't eliminate a normal human emotion. I can feel hurt, I can feel sad, I can feel grief, I can even feel angry about something, and still maintain an overall attitude of gratitude and a position of positivity. And so I don't think we need to worry about getting overboard in any direction. Just realize there is a balance there. I believe we can live in happiness and still experience hardships of life.
Yeah. See, there's a joke there, but I'm not going to go there. But that's a good setup. All right, thank you for that, Terry. Ian?
Yeah. What Terry says is very philosophical. As you said, you can be living in challenging times and challenging situations, but you can still be happy. But my closing comment is relative to the area of gratitude, that as we know that gratitude, then you're grateful and then you receive compliments and then you receive that gratitude from others. It actually does two things for your brain. Your brain actually releases dopamine and serotonin, which is the feel-good type of chemicals. The type of chemicals that are normally released when you eat that dark chocolate. Now, I'm not advertising for dark chocolates right now.
I want some.
That'll get you.
But it's important to embrace the gratitude, because it's good for us from a neurological perspective, and it's good for us from even a chemical and even a biological and hormonal perspective.
All right, appreciate it, man. And this is what we're doing. Miss Heather?
Again, thank you so much for everyone being here today. It was such a great opportunity to talk with everyone. Just a quick tip for the day. A lot happens in the first 2 minutes of the day. Usually we're reaching for our phone and we start getting flooded with stress hormones because everything's coming at us. So we turn that alarm off. Instead, let's try taking 2 minutes just to lay there and notice our breath. Now that sounds like a lot with our babies and with the dogs and the whole day coming at, but it's just 2 minutes. So if we just instead lay there for 2 minutes and just notice our breath, stay present, it sets a different intention for the day. I really struggle with this, but it works.
It works, man.
So let's just dedicate 2 minutes to ourselves and start a different mindful intention to the day.
Glad you said that. Thanks. And Dr. Warren.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with Miss Heather's recommendation. There's actually an app called Headspace that I really like that starts with actually 3-minute meditations, because I find meditation hard as well. It's definitely something worth practicing and that takes practice to build. But there's a lot of apps available and a lot of even scripts on YouTube that you can use as well to help with building the practice. But thank you. Yeah, and I definitely agree with what Ms. Terry said, that there are still going to be hard times, and that's okay. And it's okay to not be okay sometimes, and to allow yourself to feel and to move through things. That's how Ms. Heather talked about learning and growing from those situations. But it's definitely okay to allow yourself to go through that at your own time. And if anyone does need support, there's help available. We've got a great variety of backgrounds and approaches and services on our panel today. I'll have the information up on drbodden.com, as well as some links to articles about benefits of gratitude, benefits of mindfulness, how to practice each of these and bring them into your life, as well as some myths about happiness that I thought was really interesting. Cool. But thank you, everyone. I think, I'd say you've heard lots of different strategies, lots of ideas. Pick one and bring it in and see what's going to work for you. Try it a couple of days. If it's not your thing, that's okay. Try something different.
Yeah, well, what's that song? The lyrics, some days are diamonds and some days are stone. It's just what you make of it. So, but thank you all very much, man. And again, really appreciate you guys joining us remotely. And at some point in time, we'll be able to, again, gather around, the night's table here. And engage in some dialogue. I invite you to have not only a very safe and productive, but a very positive and engaging rest of the day and the week. So, gentlemen, thank you very much, and to Miss Hannah as well, Dr. Borden and Miss Heather, equally. To our listeners, we're going to pause and take a break. Maybe I'll be able to garner some input from Ray Singh for a few minutes. We'll see where he is somewhere here. He's probably working hard as usual, but stay tuned for Talk Today.
Green Turtle, modern solutions to get you through the new normal. Download the Green Turtle app now and top up yours or a loved one's phone with any mobile carrier in any destination. Home delivery of laptops, tablets, phones, accessories, and iTunes and major online retailer gift cards. And now, home deliveries of groceries and courier service. Guaranteed delivery within 2 hours from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Visit their list of products at greenturtle.ky or download the Green Turtle app today. Green Turtle is not only the future of mobile, but today it can help save a life. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app. The future of mobile, saving lives today.
4 SUVs, 3 saving options, and lots of reasons you should head to the summer SUV sale now at Vant Motors. Looking for a Ford SUV with great safety ratings? Save up to $8,000 on a new Edge and $2,000 on a new Escape. Need to accommodate an active family lifestyle? Save up to $5,000 on a 7-seater Toyota Rush. Want a fuel-efficient SUV with sporty style? Save up to $2,000 on the Toyota CHR Hybrid. Get cash back, take the full discount, or upgrade your new SUV during our summer SUV sale, where you can save up to $8,000. The summer SUV sale, Vant Motors, Walkers Road.
For the record.
For information that matters to you, the people. Hear from the government, the opposition, independents, and other experts on issues and solutions that affect you.
For the record.
Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, tune into 89.9 and 93.9 FM from 7:30 to 9 a.m. for Cayman's new Straight Talk morning show. For the record.
I invite you to join me for the record. You are invited to be a part of this interesting and informative show. Embrace the opportunity to dialogue with your legislators, policymakers, and those charged with policy implementation.
For the record.
Brought to you by
Coca-Cola, available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga Distributors.
Accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola.
The Cayman Islands Seafarers Association would like to inform all members that there will be a general meeting on Tuesday, the 15th of September at 7:30 p.m. inside of the Seafarers Hall, located on 11 Victory Avenue in Prospect. Transportation will be provided for the meeting. 3 buses will leave from the West Bay Town Hall at 6 p.m. The Barnes bus route in Georgetown leaves the public library parking area at 6:45, stopping at the Cayman Compass Building and the Airport Fosters. The bus is marked Bobo $1 public transport and is blue in color, and will do pickups from British Caymanian, Uncle Bill's on Eastern Avenue, Walkers Road, Shedden Road, and then Crew Road. The bus from East End will do pickups from the primary school parking lot, the gas station, and wreck of the 10 sales starting at 5:45 p.m. Northside bus pickups are at the Chisholm store and the soccer field at 6:15. Bontown pickups are at Lomas gas station at 6:45, and Savannah pickups are at the gas station next to Wendy's at 7 p.m. Remember, the Cayman Islands Seafarers Association General Meeting is Tuesday, September 15th at 7:30 p.m. at the Seafarers Hall.
For over 30 years, Rotarians in the Cayman Islands, our District 7020, and indeed around the world, joined together to fight a crippling and deadly disease, polio. On August 25, 2020, the World Health Organization's African region has certified the African continent wild polio-free. Now, over 90% of the world's population is free of the wild polio virus. And since we began this journey with our partners, polio cases have dropped 99.9%. For more than 3 years now, we've seen wild polio cases in only 2 countries, Afghanistan and Pakistan. Learn what this means in Rotary's fight to end polio, or contribute to our efforts at endpolionow.org. It's time to eradicate humanity's second disease. Let's end polio now.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us. And it's a Monday. I'm told it's September. Silver Fox, what day in September is it? I gotta try to remember. It's someday.
7.
Okay, look, say it in Spanish. Are you speak Spanish? All right. And the reason why, come on, Fox, tell me. And want you to be a part of our discussion. So we have some open line schedule. First off, again, I want to say thanks for, being able to take a few days off. Many of us, we work extended hours, and even when we're not physically at work, even though we're, still mentally there, it may take a while for us to sort of disconnect. It's very important, I believe, for us to get away. It's not only for those who come from certain quarters, for the others to have a time to go in and check and make sure everything's okay. It's important for you as an individual to be able to step away from your desk and your duties and to get perhaps the things that you've wanted done around the yard for a while. Maybe you just want to go fishing. Maybe you just need a time to take a walk and spend some extra time with the dog or with the children, or as it were. So I'm very grateful for that. A few days off, and looking forward to taking some more time to use it up as the year expires on us. And with that, very grateful Raymond Singh was sitting in and doing a stellar job. I was hoping that it could snag him, but like the entire sales team, they're busy at work, probably busier than ever. So balancing all the things, it's good. So it's me and Silver Fox on the other end. We're going to take your calls, 949-8037, or toll free with the compliments of Flow at 1-800-534-8255. What do you want to share with us? What is it that is important to you? How do you see, we're in September, the 7th day, of the 9th month, and this year that I don't think many of us anticipated would have been anywhere near as bad as it has been for many of us. And I say that because there was a fellow who shared with me recently. He said financially, this is his best year ever. But sadly, it's been his most expensive year. So on the business side, he's making a lot of money. On the personal side, he's expending a lot of money as well. And I hope he'll appreciate that I try to say it as he shared it. He said that it's made him cognizant that life is even more precious. Sadly, we've experienced illness, we've experienced sadness, and all sorts of other things that have transpired in the years past, and sadly for some, even in moments past. But for some reason, this year to date has maybe caused many of us to appreciate what life is, and what's truly important, and what's valuable. And maybe it'll allow us to set a tone for what we'll do and not do, and the way we'll do it, and with whom we'll do it going forward, as we value the important part of what makes us tick. And I think that's why I'm grateful to Dr. Borden every month, facilitating our monthly mental health matters, for the guests that she's been able to invite, and for you for listening and participating, and as a people for us to recognizing the importance of standing firm. Well, let's go to our phones. Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thank you for calling.
Hello, Mr. Dwayne.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you today?
Where you was, where you went, what you did.
Well,
so long.
I took over the 3 weeks, almost every day except the ones I didn't take, and I spent it all at home. In my mind, I didn't travel to anywhere. I just appreciated the beauty of family, the blessings of this society, and recognizing that there's a lot that has happened, there's a lot that should happen, but it rests on us to put our hands together to make it better.
So you got some good breadfruits down West Bay with all this rain, right?
Well, listen, I mean, if it's from West Bay, it has to be good, It's just synonymous. West Bay and good is all one and the same.
When if you get the turtle meat then with it, then you're good. You're safe, right?
Well, I'm working on that. I'll see if I can call Mr. McLaren.
All right, well, listen to me. I've got a couple of issues I want to sort out for me.
All right.
Number one, I'm going to ask them, and then you can do them if you want to answer me after.
I'll write them down if that's okay, so I don't forget it.
Yeah,
right.
man. Good.
Number
good,
one.
Good.
All right.
I want to find out if the opposition received and then the letter from the UK government or the foreign The FCO, whatever it was, the FCO. That's one. I won't find out if they received the letter yet.
So they got it back yet. Oh, okay. And
Yeah,
Mr. Saunders would, yeah.
Yeah. Number two. Now, they're saying that we COVID free, right, in Cayman Island. Is that true?
I'm not saying this to be facetious in a way. They keep changing the terminology. So the other day we had some rating that was changed to this, to that. That means sporadic. The recent tests in succession have indicated whether they did 19 or they did 190. They've all been reportedly as negative, whatever credence you put in that. But so far, so good.
Yeah, but any time when the borders will be open, you have an idea when the borders will be open?
Well, I believe that the target date of 1st October is still what they have in mind, whether they'll keep it closed or not. But the question that I've heard a number of people ask, and maybe I'll just repeat it. We say our borders are closed, but we have people who not only using their private jets to come to their private properties here, but people who are assembling a handful of people and spending 30,000, 40,000 amongst them, 8, 5, 9, 10 of them, however many, splitting the cost of a private charter and bringing themselves to the country. Is that what the regulations had envisaged? Is that part of the vision and plan that the government had? With that, then, if the borders are closed, but we have 500, 1,000 people in quarantine, over the ensuing weeks, are we putting ourselves at greater risk by importation? I really don't know. 1 minute we say we're following the science, 1 minute we seem to be doing something less than scientific.
Okay, my last question is, Mr. Dwayne. We suppose how 19 representatives. What are they for? And if they are for us, for the Caymanian people, and if the governor can make his laws and rules how he want, and he don't have to get no permission from nobody, we, the people of the Cayman Islands, is paying 19 politicians money for nothing. Because if they don't value nothing, as far as I know, in a parliament is accepted, and they represent the country or whatever.
Right.
But if the governor can make his rule or he got more power than the 19 representatives, why do we have an election? I want this question answered. Why do we have an election, and what we paying the 19 politicians for if their views and values are not accepted?
Okay.
Does not value. It's not no good at having them there.
Okay.
So thank you for answering them for me.
I can't answer them for you, but I can ask other questions. Now, you want to engage further, or that's all you want to share?
Yeah, that's all I want to find out.
Well, I was going to thank you for sharing that, and maybe in responding to what you shared. But thank you very much for your thoughts. Now, to the caller's points, enjoy your afternoon, sir. And if it rain, don't get wet. If you get wet, enjoy it.
Yes, sir.
All right. All the best. Now, the caller asks a number of questions. Take the last one first. We have 19 people. Is it part of the challenge then is that we refer to the Legislative Assembly as a parliament, and somehow we've confused in the fact that it's probably no more, according to the constitutional experts, according to the people who are more intimately familiar with, say, the UK politics, no more than a little borough council, perhaps not even as stellar as that. Let's go to the phones though. Good afternoon and welcome, and thanks for calling. Yeah, hello?
Hello, good afternoon, Dwayne.
Good afternoon, Mr. Raymond. How are you, sir?
Yes, indoors, can't do any work. Luckily, I had work to do, but we have a very rainy day in Cayman Brac today.
Yeah, man. Well, we need the rain.
On and off from morning. We had some thunder and lightning as well. And it looks like we'll continue through the rest of the evening into tonight. We have a tropical wave passing through and a low pressure area, which probably could, as it gets further away from the island, develop into something toward the Yucatan, go down to the Gulf of Mexico. That's normally how these systems are. And as I was mentioning about the concern of developments between here and Central America with the weather, and I have talked probably to about 30 people saying that the trend in the hurricanes coming over the northern Caribbean, over Puerto Rico, and the Bahamas, that wouldn't continue forever. They would shift, and that's exactly what has happened with the last one that come between around the south coast of Cuba, and now the other one that came down south and went down towards Honduras, believes about that kind of area out there. So that is putting the Cayman Islands and Jamaica at a more risk in the future of future developments of storms that they have moved from the northern route from Puerto Rico and the northern Caribbean islands and the Bahamas to shifting further south now, which would include Jamaica and the Cayman Islands. So that's a concern that we have to take into consideration with the alteration of the tracks of the storms that comes down through the Atlantic, and two systems are in the Atlantic far up there. So it may become active later in the peak of September, October, for more developments in the hurricane region. Anyway, change the subject now. I want to pass my late condolences getting out to the public for my good friend, Mr. Sammy Jackson, and saying that I had some friends call me about doing a Simon salute for Mr. Sammy Jackson, but I did not get anything happened until Sunday evening because of my communications being shut down for 3 months now. My radio has been replaced, but now the antenna is no good, so I don't have communications to assist anyone at sea anymore, and doing the search and rescue and the salute for our seamen. Anyway, on Sunday evening, I called in a ship and had 10 long blasts of the horn honoring Mr. Sammy Jackson. Only me alone heard the horn because I was up at the lighthouse. I can only get them now with my handheld radio, which is only 10, 15-mile range. So that was carried out at 6:39 until 6:41. 2 minutes of horn blast from a German propane tanker for Mr. Sammy Jackson. And also that night,
Yes, sir.
also I had to go to the lighthouse to get a ship to switch on its deck lights and searchlights to honor Mr. Sammy Jackson. That was carried out with 1 hour of the ocean being lit up by the 50 million candle power from a 45,000-ton tanker coming from Santos, Brazil to Houston, Texas. So I had that carried out. So those friends that called me, I did have 2 salutes did for Mr. Sammy on Sunday evening and on Sunday night, both tanker ships, and he sailed on tankers, so that coincided with his career to honor him.
Sir.
Also, it was done in remembrance for the Filipino seamen, the ill-fated crew of the cattle ship. You probably heard about that, or did you? Off the coast of Japan, where a ship loaded with almost 6,000 cows and 43 crew members, and only 3 crew members are accounted for. 2 survivors were found, and one dead body was recovered from the water, and it's still 40 people missing at sea. 2 Australians, 2 New Zealanders, and the rest are Filipinos. All of them are still missing at sea. They could be gone down with the ship, even could still be inside their cabins drowned. It's quite a tragedy. That happened last Wednesday from the typhoon Maysak, which the ship got in bad weather and rolled over. And the 45-year-old chief mate, he survived in a life raft and was picked up. And another one, Filipino, 30 years old, he survived from the ship also, and he was picked up, and they found 1 body. So only 3 survivors out of 43, and the rest are presumed dead. Hopefully that one of them might got in a life raft and still be drifting somewhere, but the chance is very, very small. And also to give an update on the Chinese imports coming through our Cayman Island waters. Last month and this month will mark the highest amount of American crude oil ever sold to China, passing through the Cayman Island waters, and the biggest amount of soya beans from the Mississippi River, the port of New Orleans, going to China. Ships are increased in traffic around the Cayman Islands. Ships are coming from all over the world going to New Orleans to load American soybeans going to China. And they've been passing close by Grand Cayman, North Side, South Side, north of Cayman Brac, off a spot they're all about. So you have a big increase in shipping traffic due to that trade with soybean and crude oil going to China.
You know, and this is where I think, you know, Mr. Yamai, as you share, I reflect on your willingness to offer up a sense of, you know, celebration to our seafarers and what you've organized for Mr. Salmon, particularly for them. But as you remember, the tragedy in the typhoon, it strikes to home, because many of us have, you know, family members who were at sea and who sadly succumbed, you know, to the treacherous waves and the lake. So hey, thank you very much for not just keeping us informed, but, you know, giving us a perspective that we need to really be appreciative of who we are. Hey, thanks very much. We have some other callers online, Mr. Foxpot. We got a break. Are we take the calls? Let's go to the phones. Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thank you for calling.
Good afternoon, Captain.
Hey, General. Good afternoon, sir. How are you today?
Boy, if I got to be any better, I don't know.
You'll be me if you're better, right?
I guess. You know, you can always figure it out, eh?
Yes, sir. Good to hear from you, sir.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, we're going to deal with weather conditions a little bit.
Yes, sir.
First.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. You know, it is so interesting to see some of our older Caymanians, let's say our ancestors, their weather predictions. It was so accurate. It was unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that I have noticed it in recent times, they said if you see the north, winds start to blow before or by the middle of the year. Northeast winds. Not consistent, but generally you get that little oozy feeling from the northeast.
Mm-hmm.
That is one of the signs that we're probably not going to have any real drastic bad weather. And the second one would be the amount of rain we're getting. It's cooling down the ocean. It's cooling down the land.
Mm-hmm.
And we all know that hurricanes don't like anything like cold weather.
So
and then again, go ahead.
No. Like I said, you know, that keeps it better. So I listen to you. You're right, man. You're right.
Yeah. And then the third thing is you got these fronts coming down out through United States. That again is something that is not favorable for hurricanes. So I don't think that we really, you know, no one can say, but I don't think that we're going to really have any hurricanes this year.
Pretty not, man.
Yeah. If we get the rain, I think we're going to be fine, you know. So I just thought I would bring that in. So you still getting some mangoes?
Man, if you got into the share, I'll be happy to take them.
I heard that guy ask about breadfruit a while ago.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy, I tell you, I seen some breadfruits. I guess you gotta get a low boy to load one of them on. So if he can handle the challenge, he might want to give me a call.
I'll tell you what. You know what? Turtles and breadfruit. That sounds like a good afternoon.
I know.
All right, we'll catch up again, sir.
You're right. All right. Take care then.
Blessings, dear. Thanks, man.
Right.
All right, let's take one more call before the news. Welcome. Good afternoon. Thank you for calling.
Good afternoon, Sterling.
Good afternoon, ma'am. How are you today?
Good. Welcome back. Welcome back.
Thank you.
I ate your share of chocolate during the time you were off.
You know the sad part about it? I didn't eat that much.
Well, I ate enough to mean you, believe me.
Oh,
I ate enough to mean you, believe
Thank
me.
you.
Sterling, I know you don't work at NRA, and you know nothing much about the roads. But Sterling, why is it that every time that when it rains, the 10 10 to 30 minutes, our roads are flooded. And they're building roads every couple of months. You turn around, and we are still being flooded. Sterling, please tell me you have an answer for that.
Well, someone showed me the other day, in this rain that the drain was uphill, and he thought for some reason, we must have been able to design the water to drain uphill as opposed to down. So we'll get an answer for that one too, and share that for you at the same time.
Wow, Sterling. Well, at least you tried.
Yep.
Sterling,
Yes, ma'am.
I just want you to remind the public today, it's raining.
Mm-hmm.
No excuse. Asking everybody who's on the road driving to please respect the school buses.
Yes,
We're
ma'am.
only on the road for a short period of time. We put ourselves crossway in the road to try to get our kids across the street safely. I want drivers to know that the exit of that bus is on the left-hand side. So when you decide that the bus is crossing the road, you want to try to overtake on the left, because then you don't know what side the bus door is on. But let me tell you today, it's on the left-hand side. So stop thinking for a second it can cross on the left-hand side when the kids are stepping down to go over to the right-hand side, or if they're going to stay on the left-hand side to go to their residence. So I'm just asking you if you could
Yes.
ask the public to respect the school buses while they're on the road, and respect everybody does that. Respect each other on the road.
Yes,
if you're in a hurry to go and pick up your kids from the school, let your kid ride a school bus, or wait until the traffic die down, which is not really nice, because kids are tired, they're hungry and all that kind of stuff. Don't get me wrong. But, they're hurting people and killing people and disrespecting each individual. And all because it's a public school. Oh, I ain't got time to pay them no mind. My kids go to private school. I don't think so. All our kids are equal, and they all have to live in the same community. They all have to go to work together from a private school or a public school. You understand where I'm coming from?
Yes, ma'am.
So I know you got to go on a 2 o'clock break. I didn't want to get caught up in it. I didn't want to be on hold. So
No.
I think I'm going to let you go and
Thank you.
call you back another day.
You-
take care and thanks.
Thank you too. Thank you for reminding us, and perhaps as the callers shared as we go to the news break, the schools are back in session. The school buses are out. It is rainy, wet on our roads, but even if it wasn't, let's be careful, and please, as she has implored us, please be very, very sensitive and sensible as we operate the roads, and be very respectful of our school buses. Let the school buses move about safely. Let the school children get on and off the buses safely. With that, let's pause and take a break. When we come back, more Open Line.
From district to district, moving through the waters to Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. Your station, your voice. All things Cayman. One radio, many people. This is home.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Your 2 p.m. headlines brought to you by greenturtle.ky. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app, the future of mobile, saving lives today.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman.
It's only 2 species that we have, on the island.
Generations present.
Your voice, your choice.
It is in the best interest of the people of these islands.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
With your latest headlines, I'm April Cummings. Government statistics show a dramatic increase in hit-and-run incidents in 2019, with 199 versus 34 in 2018. The island saw 8 fatal crashes in 2019, with 21 crashes resulting in serious injuries. In all, there were more than 2,800 motor vehicle accidents reported to police in 2019, an increase of almost 400 over the year before. In international headlines, a British judge today rejects a request by lawyers for WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange to delay his extradition hearing until next year, to give his lawyers more time to respond to U.S. allegations that he conspired with hackers to obtain classified information. The adjournment request came on the first day of a London court hearing, where Assange is fighting American prosecutors' attempt to send him to the U.S. to stand trial on spying charges. U.S. prosecutors have indicted the 49-year-old Australian on 18 espionage and computer misuse charges over WikiLeaks' publication of secret U.S. military documents a decade ago. The charges carry a maximum sentence of 175 years in prison. Assange's lawyers say the prosecution is a politically motivated abuse of power that will stifle press freedom and put journalists around the world at risk. Poisoned Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny's condition has improved, allowing doctors to take him out of an induced coma. That's according to the German hospital treating him. Today. Navalny, a fierce, high-profile critic of Russian President Vladimir Putin, was flown to Germany last month after falling ill on August 20th on a domestic flight in Russia. German chemical weapons experts say that tests show
Green Turtle, modern solutions to get you through the new normal. Download the Green Turtle app now and top up yours or a loved one's phone with any mobile carrier in any destination. Home delivery of laptops, tablets, phones, accessories, and iTunes and major online retailer gift cards. And now, home deliveries of groceries and courier service. Guaranteed delivery within 2 hours from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Visit their list of products at greenturtle.ky or download the Green Turtle app today. Green Turtle is not only the future of mobile, but today it can help save a life. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app. The future of mobile, saving lives today.
Your 2 p.m. headlines brought to you by greenturtle.ky. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app. The future of mobile, saving lives today.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
Your voice, your choice, your radio.
Radio Cayman News.
The governor issues a statement giving assent to the civil partnership law.
Colors Cayman says the governor's move is a, quote, significant step forward for the region.
As Premier, I am utterly humiliated that because of our failure to do our duty as a legislature, the United Kingdom government has been forced to legislate for us.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice for today's biggest news.
So, do you know how fast you were going?
Officer, apparently I wasn't going fast enough, if you caught up to me.
Excuse me?
Officer, can we hurry this up, please? Lee's Office Products is having their annual back-to-school sale, and I try and catch them before they close.
You can't be serious.
Sir, Lee's Office is offering 15% off school supplies, and just by shopping at Lee's, I can be entered to win a new laptop or even a tablet.
Really?
Yeah, really. If you plan on giving me the ticket, you can meet me at Lee's Office Products. They are located at Godfrey Nixon Way. Lee's Office Products back to school sale. 15% off all school supplies. The Tuesday and Thursday edition of The Business Buzz is brought to you by Cayman Medical Supplies, providing quality pharmaceuticals, medical supplies, and consumer products to healthcare providers, retailers, and ultimately the patients at a reasonable rate in a friendly, caring, and timely manner. Cayman Medical Supplies is located at number 93 Smith Road, Windward Center. Telephone 949-6211.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us. It is open line as we go to our phones. Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon, Sterling. How are you doing?
Hey, my good friend. Good afternoon, man. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good, man. I hope you had a good weekend.
I did, and I trust the same for you.
Yeah, man, and good afternoon to your listening audience. I just heard that you said it was open mic, so I just wanted to spark a conversation, obviously, about something that I've kind of been watching for a while, and it's with the cruise industry, obviously. Mm-hmm. And we know how important our tourism industry is to our economy, and so many people who depend on it and rely on it. and it's every day that goes by that we can't accommodate tourism. It's creating more and more issues for those individuals who work in that sector. But one thing I realized after, and I did quite a bit of reading over the past 2 years when it comes to cruise industry and whatnot. And one thing I would just like to share, and I think for all of those who are in tune and interested in it, what I've found is that on almost every advertisement site that I've seen for all the cruise lines, they've always been heavily advocating that they are the destination and that they are the vacation, and that, one of their major selling points is that they can accommodate almost all of the passengers' need on the ship.
Mm-hmm.
And over the years, we've seen them increase their list of things and that they offer on the ship, from duty-free stores right back down to water parks. Now, the reason why I bring that up is because if their entire advert campaign is surrounded that they are the destination and that they are the vacation, then I would, and like I said, this is no benefit to the Cayman Islands or any of the Caribbean islands. However, the only benefit we get from this information is it puts us in a better position when it comes to negotiating terms and conditions for when they do visit our shores again. And the reason why I say that is because I think that all of our operators, all of the powers to be that set the policies and rules and create the system that allows them to come here, I think it's important that we know what our position is in terms of what our value is moving forward, and when we set the new ground rules for what the requirement's going to be when they return. If the cruise lines were correct in the advertisements, then why are they not having cruises now? Because if you are the destination and you are the vacation and you offer all the things in which you can that when you go to an island offers, then there's no reason why you can't sell tours and stay out at sea and provide all those things for a couple of days and then go back into shore and let those passengers off. But that's not taking place. Not one single cruise line has taken that position in which they've been advocating for 25 years, that's the case. None of them has taken the position that, okay, with the proper requirements in place, they could do the medical scan and they could sell. If they are the destination, then why are they not selling cruises? And they don't have to call to any port in order to sell cruises if that was in fact the case in which they believed in. But now that we realize that that's not the case, and it's painfully obvious that that isn't the case, we hear of all of the financial issues that the cruise lines are now currently having. The Caribbean is responsible for 60% of its global GDP, of its global revenue source.
Mm-hmm.
So the Caribbean plays the most important role in the survival of any cruise line. So I only say all that to say this, Sterling, is that I hope, and I've heard a rumor, and it's just a rumor that I heard. I don't know if there's any substance behind it or there's any facts behind it, but I'll share what I heard, that the cruise lines are currently negotiating with multiple islands that when they are allowed to come back to these ports, that it's only pre-booked tours that are going to be allowed to come off the ship, period. So if you don't have a pre-booked tour, you're not going to be allowed to exit the ship. Now, if there's any truth to that rumor, I will say this publicly, and I would ask respectfully for our people that are in charge not to allow that to happen, bearing in mind that a large portion of the tour operating business in the Cayman Islands do not have pre-booked tours. Now, if that is the approach the cruise line is taking, and they try to use that as some sort of bargaining chip, whether or not they call to a port, then that only further speaks to the bullying tactics that we've seen in the past by them.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to be very, very conscious of this scenario, because one could easily see how they would try to implement such a thing simply because the fear of COVID, and they'll try to use that as an excuse to say, oh, well, the reason we're doing it is because we want to limit the amount of people that are venturing to shore. Now, the way I look at it is this, is that the Cayman Islands need to put in place immediately an organization that allows our operators to implement the prices without any fear of contradiction from the cruise lines or dictation from the cruise line or any fear of them saying we're not going to use you. It should be one simple system that says that this is the price for this tour, this is the price for that tour, these are the operators, and these are whom you need to choose from. You can't use them against each other to bargain for a better price. You're not allowed to go out and independently solicit any agreements or contract with any operator that's not within that requirement list, and that you have to pay the price in which is in place so that our shore operators and all the people that are on the ground in our islands are now able to reap the full benefits of having these people come to our shores and pay for these tours. I know, and everybody else on this island that is aware of this industry, know that the cruise line take home the lion's share, simply because they've been allowed to horse trade amongst all of our operators. And you have those who are willing to do it just for break-even price, just to have something to do. So I think that this opportunity creates a great time for us to restructure how we go about the tour operating business in our country so that our people are able to reap the benefits that have always been available but yet couldn't get it because there was no proper structure by government, and we've allowed the cruise lines to dictate and bully us into saying, oh, well, if you don't agree to these terms, we won't come to your shores. Well, we know now for a 100% fact that their business is completely dead because they can't come to our shores. So if this is not a clear indication that we hold all of the chips, they need us far more than we need them, and we need to understand that. A couple of months ago, in the middle of last year, I wrote an article that was called The Real Pirates of the Caribbean, and I published it in a couple of the newspapers throughout the Caribbean. It spoke to that very same thing, and this was long before COVID, that we needed to have some sort of unity among all the islands so that we could dictate as islanders what it is that we get from the cruise lines when it comes to tours, and that our operators won't be taken advantage of, which they have been taking advantage of them for many, many years. So I think that, I would just plead for the powers to be, and I would ask for them to respectfully sit down with all the stakeholders, devise a workable plan, ensure that what is presented moving forward is agreed upon with all of our operators. I know it's hard to get everybody on the same page, Sterling. We understand that. But I think, and I know for sure, there's hardly one person out there that's going to disagree with being able to make more off of these tours than what they're currently making.
Well, this is it, man. If they work together, then they can enjoy the benefits as you shared, right? I appreciate your sentiments, and hopefully we'll get you to sit with us in the studio sometime very soon.
All right, man. No problem.
All right. All the best, man. Talk to you soon. With that, let's join some other callers. Good afternoon and welcome. Thank you for calling.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
I can. Thank you so much for calling. How are you today?
I am fine, thank you. How are you?
Oh, very blessed and thankful. Honored that you would take some time available and call.
Well, in case anybody's doubting who it is Mary Lawrence. I called for several reasons. One, I want to wish the Premier a belated happy birthday. And I think they did so on radio on the talk show this morning. But I do want to say a very special happy birthday to him. It's late, but I want to say it because we come off the same family tree. So he is still my old cousin on all the things that are going on in the country right now.
Yes, Mom.
But I also want to tell him that I am going to ask everybody to pray for him because he has one of the most turbulent years in front of him right now. We have 6 months, I think it is, a bit somewhere around that time. The House dissolves in March.
Mm-hmm.
But he will continue, he and his cabinet will continue as the government of the Cayman Islands until after the election results are posted because the country can't be without a government. So the cabinet controls that period of time from March to May when the elections are held. And I have something I want to say. We've just had a big hoo-ha and a big uproar and a big upset in the country about the domestic partnership bill. We have been accused of not being tolerant, although, like I've stated before, we have 140 nationalities living in a country of 65,000 people, and it says a lot for our tolerance that they're here.
Yes, well.
They're living and they're working among us. So I want to ask him in the next 9 months that are ahead if he will pay special attention to what I consider to be a minority group in this country that has been neglected, called the Kamanians. We live in a country with 30,000 work permits, and it breaks my heart to see Kamanians, young people coming back with degrees, people who have worked in this country for little or nothing all their lives, standing in bread lines to get a little handout to go home to feed their children with, standing in charity lines to get a school bag to send their children to school with. That really, really hurts me. We have 30,000 people working in this country, and our own people are walking the streets. Oh, I hear the thing about you must go to this website and you fill out this form, etc., etc. That's just another stumbling block in the way of making sure Kamanian gets a job. And I know that for a fact because I have people in my family who have come home with degrees and they're sitting down, can't even get anyone to answer their phone, never mind acknowledge the fact that they have made an application. We need to start looking after our own people. We need to start talking about what's wrong in our country that has put our people in this position. And while they're bashing the churches, I want to remind all of them, everybody, government, those who live in this community, those who come here, that education in this country is here because of the churches. The churches came here, and even that school that we call the Cayman High School, or the John Gray School as they call it now, was founded by the church and handed over to the government. We owe us. They're talking about what I was upset when I saw he referred to us as not being a theocracy. Nobody ever tried to make this country a theocracy. It is a democracy, or that's what we're working towards. It's not quite there yet, but we're working towards that. And I think it is unfair that the churches have come in for so much bashing from all sides when they have done so much and contributed so much. We don't bash them when they preach against drinking, you know. We don't bash them when they preach against smoking. We don't bash them when they preach against drug use. We don't bash them then. We bash them now because there are certain people in our community that has decided that the church is expendable. But the church is not expendable. It never was, and hopefully, pray God, it never becomes so in this country. It has become so in other countries, but pray God it never becomes so in the Cayman Islands. We are too small for that. I look at what happens here with our own people. I look at the fact that they don't even, we have a minimum wage of $6 an hour. And when I have had people come to me and tell me, I got a little job, but you know what, Miss Mary, when they paid me, they said $6 an hour was $6 US an hour, not $60 an hour. We put our people to work on the road, picking up garbage for $10 an hour, but we don't make it possible for the people who employ them in this community, who come here and set up businesses in this community. I'm not saying anything about them doing this. I am not even trying to make believe that they shouldn't come here and do this. But I am saying that this government, the one we have elected now, and hopefully the one who will take their place, or if they succeed themselves, will try and make sure that the pie is a little bit more evenly distributed than it is right now. Our people should not be standing in bread lines. This country should not have its own people We are small in number as it is. We should not have our own people standing in red lines. We should not have our young people coming back to this country with a degree and can't get a job. We should not have that. We're putting in protection for everyone else. Please, in the next 9 months, I am asking the Premier to make it his business to see that Caymanians are protected, that their rights to live and work and at a reasonable rate in this country, their right to own a home in this country, local, what they call them, affordable housing. There's no affordable housing in this island anymore. There is no affordable housing. We allow everybody to build willy-nilly, and a great one is the one up at up at Lower Valley by the Plum Tree. They put that development in there, and you take your life in your hands when you drive by that, because cars are shooting out and cars are turning in, and there is no turning lane, so they're cutting across you to get in there. But nobody's looking at any of this stuff. Nobody's looking at the fact that when these people put in housing developments, they don't put in a playground for children. Nobody's looking at that. We need to start holding the people who come here and hold them to account. I heard Mr. O.C. on Friday morning talking about his aunt trying to replace the wall that everybody in this country who is Caymanian knew has been there for years and years and years in front of her house. And how they came and posted notices on her door without even ringing the bell to let anyone know they were there. Posting notices there telling her that she had to take it down or they would knock it down. We have a wall up in Frank Sound that the MLAs called fire, they called the roads people, they called the land developers, they called planning, they called everybody. But that man was allowed to put his walls down in front, up right on the side of the road where the school buses have to turn out and swing real hard to avoid hitting it. And you know what the story was? He's an investor. But be careful, we can't make them mad. Well, I'm an investor too. And so is every Caymanian in this country. So are you.
Yeah.
So is the Premier. We have our home here. This is where we belong. We have nowhere else to go. This is our home.
With that in mind, Miss Mary,
when our people, our small group of people in this great metropolis that we have developed, our small group of people, they are protected, that their rights are protected, their rights to a job, their rights to housing, their rights to an education, their rights to proper legal representation. We need to ensure that this is done.
If I could then
9 months to get it right before he leaves off.
All right. If I could ask you though, I mean, glad that you share that. If you would perhaps guide me in this, and perhaps it's timely. In the last few days in particular, but today alone, a handful of times, if not one, it hasn't been, a number of people pointed out to me two things that they believe are glaring contradictions in the way we sort of govern and our approach to our people. If I could perhaps share them with you and get your feedback. One is the speed limit along, I call it the West Bay Road. So it's been reduced to 25 miles an hour in certain sections, but the one going to the West Bay Primary School, the Sir John A. Cumber Primary School, has been increased, presumably, to 30 miles an hour. So school children in that area now are subjected to a slightly higher speed limit, but higher than West Bay Road, where the tourists presumably are more prevalent. And then secondly, the crimes, apparently some law was passed and amended in recent times, that a crime committed in a tourist area attracts a higher sanction, higher fine, higher penalty, higher imprisonment than the same crime committed in West Bay or East End or Red Bay or anywhere else. And wonder, yes, it's good to make sure the people who come here feel safe and welcome, but what about those, as you shared, who live and work here as well? So is this then perhaps the example of the crime, the example of the speed limit, just are the examples of our lack of respect and appreciation towards the importance of the people who live and work here. The Caymanian people, as you shared.
It is, of course it is. It's an insult. It's an insult to the people who built this country. It's an insult to the people who worked to carry this country forward, to give it its reputation. When they tell us that we're not tolerant, like I said, we have 140 nationalities living here. It is a credit to this country and its people that we tolerate that we allow people to come here. You ever try that in one of the other Caribbean islands? No. You can't. You walk into their immigration, and from the time you walk in till you walk out, all you see is are their nationals. In our country, you don't see that. The commonest, smallest job is not offered to Caymanians. We are told, I know, but my grandson came home here, couldn't get a job, and he went to the restaurants because he had wide experience in that service. And they told him the only thing they had was, they only paid $4.50, and Caymanians didn't work for it. And when he said, but I will work for it, the conversation ended up with them telling him in no uncertain terms they couldn't hire him because all they had were expatriate workers, and if they hired him, they would have to let him go if things did not go well, because they could not let someone on a work permit go. I get people when we're in the pandemic now, but from the hotel industry, Caymanian women who tell me when I see them, they they don't have any work. I said, you don't have any work? Then you have a job? Yeah, but they didn't have too much work, so they had to let me go because they got to keep their expatriate workers.
And that's allowed?
I'm not trying to bring division by saying this, but I am saying it is time that somebody speak out. Our people, we talk about crime. Well, you only have to look at the disparity. If somebody comes here with a suitcase and it has a gun in it and it has bullets into it, and he's fined $1,000 and left and can go where he wants to go, and you make that fine a Caymanian living with his grandmother in the attic, they find a bullet into it. He's going to do 10 years in Northwood. These are the things we need to start looking at. What has happened to our people? Why are we putting young people in Northwood prison? Why are we still doing that after all of this time? They talk about rights. They should read the rights from the child. But we are putting young people in Northwood prison with seasoned criminals. And what do we expect them to come out to be? They can tell me how they can separate them. That's a whole lot of hogwash. That's a whole lot of hogwash.
So then,
we are condemning our people to a life of servitude. And it's an unthinkable situation in a country that boasts of being the 5th largest financial industry in the world. We have so much going for us, and yet, the word is now that England was responsible, or whoever's up there in charge of us, for making this domestic partnership law, giving the governor the authority to bring that in. Well, how come they can't help us get off the gray list and rescue our financial industry? How come they're not putting their efforts into that? Doesn't it matter? Doesn't it matter to them that this colony that they have never had to put their hands in their pockets for, and has always been able to carry itself, and has always been able to support itself, doesn't it matter to them that they are trying to kill the little goose that lays a little egg here for us?
So kisses go with favors, huh?
We have to start talking about these things in this community. We have to start calling a spade a spade. It's not that you are calling out against anyone, but if the inequities in the Cayman Islands make up right now, it's frightening. And it's going to lead to serious trouble later on. I might not be here to see it, but it will. And it is funny because we have lost something along the road, because 25 years ago, this stuff couldn't happen in Cayman. People would be out in the street, but they control that now too. You can only go out, and this had nothing to do with COVID-19. You couldn't arrange a demonstration in the street with more than 200 people before COVID-19. You know, everything to suppress the Caymanian is being done. And I, for one, am extremely upset by it. I am extremely upset by it. You talk about the school in West Bay. How many children is in that school? 700?
Probably closer to 1,000, huh?
Little children, all under the age of 10 and 11. That whole area should be encircled with slow driving and signs posted everywhere and everything to make it safe for those children. Because everybody knows a child drops the ball and he follows it. Doesn't matter if it's a dump truck is coming at 40 miles an hour, he's going to go get his ball. We have to. I look. We're in COVID-19 now, and we were going to putting all kinds of things, and the virus hasn't gone anywhere. It didn't buy a ticket out of Cayman. It is still here. No matter what anybody says, every other country in the world that thought that they had it under control, as soon as they start doing certain things and removing the barriers that kept them safe, as soon as they start doing that, the virus is back in full swing again. So we know wearing the mask, social distancing, and hand washing, hygiene, basically, is what will help to keep it at bay. But we're opening up again now. We sent our children back into schools, into classrooms. We couldn't social distance them because we don't have the place. Do you know the last time that classrooms were built in this country was 10 years ago when Ralston Anglin built them? He built classrooms in all the districts. He built a hall in East End, and he built classrooms in all the districts. They're the last classrooms we've had. Do you know how many people have come into this country in the last decade to live here and bring their children here, to go to school here? Done any of that?
Yeah.
This high school that we started 12 years ago is still unfinished. It is still unfinished. Yet the school we are housing the children in, that we call in the John Gray School now, that is on the George Hicks campus, that campus was condemned from before I went into Parliament, when I was teaching there, because the mold infestation was too high.
Yes, well.
And the classrooms were so small. And when we're piling children into it still, we don't have the space in this country to take care of our children in the classroom. If we got a serious outbreak of COVID-19, I can tell you one thing, we would be in very serious trouble when it comes to our children. We don't have the space. We don't have the space.
Yeah. Well,
we have been fortunate that in growing this country, those maligned churches, the United Church, Church of God Chapel, the Baptist, two of them in fact now, Gospel and Holiness, Grace Christian Academy, they have all been founded by the church to spread the need for education, to give our children an opportunity. That's done by the churches. And we kick them because they say something that they read out of the Bible. You know, there is one thing that everybody forgets, and I am not, like I said when I came out here just in the beginning, I don't preach for the churches because there's enough of them to say what they got to say, and I don't preach for the politicians because they're paid to say what they have to say. But it is, yes, Jesus showed compassion. Yes, he showed love. Yes, he befriended the downtrodden and the maligned and the beat upon. But when he was finished, read the Bible. He never said, go and sin some more. He said, go and sin no more.
Yeah. Well, Miss Mary, thank you for sharing, so much with us, and hopefully we'll get an opportunity to engage with you again. But thank you very much, Mom. Perhaps those who are listening would understand that it's from your heart and it's from a place of trying to be of great service. So blessings to you, Mom. And to our listeners, please join us again tomorrow for more Talk Today right after the midday news. And until then, be blessed.
Talk Today is brought to you by Fidelity Bank. For all your banking needs, visit fidelitygroup.com. Fidelity, we're good for you.
Also brought to you by greenturtle.ky. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app. The future of mobile